Good evening, everybody. My name is Derek Shankland. I'm the winemaker of Sous Winery here in Seattle. I'm honored to be with you tonight, albeit virtually, through these crazy times of 2020, for the 10th annual gala and auction for the Music Center of the Northwest, a virtual night in the city. Normally, we might be out being able to taste wine and drink wine together, but tonight, we'll be doing it here in the original Sous. When I started making wine in this basement in 2007, we began producing a 50-50 blend of Sangiovese and Cabernet Sauvignon. Though we still produce that, our tasting this evening is going to be primarily 3 of our single varietal wines. Okay, let's get started with our rosé. Our rosé is 100% Sangiovese, sourced from Mission Hills Vineyards in Walla Walla. Like many rosés, ours is intended to be a clean, crisp, dry rosé. Great for hot summer days, also great for appetizers, charcuterie, and a lot of spicy foods as well. Many of us enjoy a little bit of rosé in the glass, but if you're like me in these turbulent times, I usually prefer just to drink it by the bottle. As with rosé, the process itself is a little bit different. Rosé does come from red grapes. Ours are from the Sangiovese, as I stated. But those are processed like red grapes, crushed. The stems and seeds are removed, and then they're soaked on the skins to extract a little bit of that color. We go for a very pale pink to salmon color, so our skin contact in the cold soak is 4 to 6 hours. After that process is complete, then we enter into the process of fermentation and finishing the wine, but then it's in a process similar to white wine. Temperature in a fermentation never gets above 60 degrees. We do not go through malolactic fermentation, and that is intended to retain the freshness and high acidity that we expect out of a rosé. Okay, let's move on to our single vineyard and single varietal red wines. We produce a 100% Syrah and 100% Cabernet Sauvignon that we'll be tasting next. The single vineyard and single varietal red wines are very important series for Sous. This is the project that we started in 2011 that really represents the idea of location in a vineyard in a certain terroir and inside of a certain state. In the old world, that was how we denote the very differences of the villages and the other locations and why a wine tastes differently. There's soil, there's weather, there's microclimates, many things that impact this. That's exactly why we make these 2 wines, to really represent that place and location. First, we're going to start off with our Syrah, 100% Syrah. It is sourced from the Dubreuil Vineyards in Yakima Valley. Fantastic folks that have been growing grapes for about 40 years. And we are just lucky enough to be one of 3 people in the state of Washington to produce this Syrah. The difference between how we approach our red wines and many others is that we are all natural in our process of these 2 wines. The grapes come from the vineyard. They are processed naturally. We do not inoculate yeast. We utilize the natural yeast that are already present on the grape skins themselves, and we allow that fermentation to take place naturally. We do, however, try to control the temperature a lot more. As red wine ferments, opposite of white wine, the temperature will increase significantly, upwards in 80, almost to 90 degrees sometimes. But we extrapolate that temperature out to make a more mild extraction, meaning we're taking less and less tannins from the skins and the seeds to present a much more finessed and balanced wine. So our 2014 Syrah is really lovely, velvety, and you'll get a lot of that lush color that represents the state of Washington. However, the rustic appeal of our wines in comparison to many others stands out. Okay, and finally on to our 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, also from Dubreuil Vineyards, and processed similarly as the Syrah. Major difference between the Syrah and the Cabernet, as some may know, Syrah is a larger grape that has more pulp on the inside, and so there's less pulp to skin contact, meaning that the tannins typically tend to be a little bit lighter in a Syrah. For Cabernet Sauvignon, quite the opposite. Known for very small grapes, a lot of skin contact and fermentation, which brings up that bigger, bolder, more tannic wine. This is no different. However, our process of extended fermentation over that 21-day period does still attempt to create a nice finessed wine and not the over extraction that can be found in many Cabernets made domestically. And while these wines are drinking magnificent right now, they could benefit from a little bit more cellar time, maybe about 3 to 5 years. And in Sous philosophy, food and wine pairing are a symbiotic relationship. The communal experience with friends and family at the table to enjoy laughs and great meals together is what it's all about. So once again, it's been an honor to be a part of the 10th annual gala and auction for the Music Center of the Northwest. Cheers to you all.